Hey there, sports fans. How are we doing? I'm very well, thanks. Welcome to 10 Yards Back for this, a predictions video, where I'm going to give you my predictions for how the game's going to go and ultimately the scoreline for a couple of the games at the weekend. Friday Night Lights down at the Leigh Sports Village. These two teams are the two teams in the league who I think are probably underperforming the most at the minute, aren't they? So Leigh, it's fair enough. Leigh have got a slew of injuries. Pape's gone, Hanley's gone, Hodgson's gone. Armstrong never came back, I don't think. So Leigh have got real key players missing. Catalans, on the other hand, have got all their key players. Nobody really seems to be injured in the Catalans camp, but they are all new, so they're not quite firing on all cylinders yet. I'm sure it'll come. They've got a wealth of talent there that can come together. They've got all the right people in all the right places. They just need that cohesion. Maybe that's how you break them down. Maybe you break them down by sort of putting them on the back foot and making them react to play instead of letting them put stuff on. I don't know. Certainly that's, I think, what St Helens did last week against the Catalans was just catching them on the back foot all the time, not giving them a second to rest, and pushing forwards. Leigh can certainly do that, but will they? Can they do that with all his injuries? Performance-wise, again, we're looking kind of down the middle. We're on 11 versus 10. I think the thing here that's gonna matter is the carries. If you look at the number there, Leigh have got on average what is that 30 more carries than Catalans. That means that either they complete sets at like a 20% higher rate than Catalans do, or they just have more sets because they're moving down the field faster. If Catalans can just control a little bit of that possession, take the decision-making off Leigh, and like I said, keep the ball in hand, put on those set plays rather than having to react to Leigh's possession, then I reckon they might be able to pull it off. And I actually, yeah. Again, looking at the teams here. I've said a lot about the injuries Leigh have got. There's one person on the Leigh team list that really, really excited me this week to see it, and he was actually the fella. They have that like a featured player on each team list. It was Gareth O'Brien, because you almost have forgot about Gareth O'Brien. Gareth O'Brien at one point was one of the two best fullbacks in Superleague, and they both played for Castleford, and that was Gareth O'Brien and Leigh Leopards were both absolutely on fire. O'Brien went to Leigh and then got pushed into a standoff role, so it's easy to forget that he was actually a really, really good fullback. Now he's a few years older. Whether he's going to have that spark, he's certainly not going to have the same kick return potential as Bailey Hodgson, but nevertheless, he's a really, really safe pair of hands at the back and quite creative, especially since having played in that half role. So I think they can do it. They've got decent people, just not loads of it. Now, something that I noticed looking at the team sheet is they're kind of both looking sort of lean. Both these teams here, they've got their forwards that they go to, but they're not really anybody else. The benches here, with all due respect to the benches, are a little bit light on both camps. So what I'm suggesting here is we have a real tough arm wrestle over 20 minutes, and then you bring on maybe the lighter guys, the more creative guys, the Jacob Alec Venke, I don't know how to say his name, but he's certainly sort of a quick ball player, isn't he? Similarly with Catalans, I've put GAB on the bench for Catalans because for whatever reason he seems to have fallen off the starting team list when he was absolutely amazing last year, and I think that if Catalans start to lose a grip of the game, they really, really should fall back on some of their old players, the Da Costas, the GABs, to link up with the other French guys, and just put on a little bit of Catalans again. Remind them who the Catalans are, as as romantic as that sounds. So, all that being said, my score prediction for this one is that Catalans are probably going to take it. All that they've said about Catalans being disorganised, I think that it's really difficult to keep your set plays that you've practiced all through the preseason when you just have player after player after player falling off. It's very difficult to do that, particularly if Pape, Offengawi and Hodgson are gone. So I just think that Leigh are probably struggling a little bit. Catalans might just pip it. Okay, so that is the end of my predictions video. Let me know what you think of my predictions there. Like, subscribe, do all the stuff, leave a comment. Remember, my predictions were terrible last week, so at least tune in to see how bad they're going to be this week. So anyway, have a good weekend, enjoy the rugby, and I'll see you next week.